a couple quick details about setting up on coyotes in the mountains. Today I'm out here hunting, but man, the sun's gonna come up and winds doing all kinds of stuff. So I decided just to make a little video here about dialing in your setup in the mountains. When you're hunting in the mountains, it's a whole different ball game. One of the most important things is this thing right here, some sort of a wind checker. Another most important piece of gear is some sort of a call that you can do some really good howls on. And this one here is a Johnny Stewart dog howler. It does come apart. You can do jackrabbit with this. You can change the pitch on this by rolling this little rubber band up and down. I've had this call for a couple of years. It's the most comfortable call for me with the shape of my teeth. I can do several different howls on it, several different pitches of howls. I really like this call. But you need some sort of a howler. You can use your e-call. E-call is a really good tool for doing locating. But to dial your setup in the mountains, you're going to be hunting at daytime. Don't try to hunt these coyotes at night in the mountains. You just got too much stuff, too much brush that you can't see if you're shooting. I don't care if you do have a thermal scope or night vision. Just the benefit of hunting in the mountains, you don't need all that stuff, first of all. And you're going to have to learn how to think and use your mind and defeat these coyotes with your mind, your tactics, in order to defeat them. And in my view, you get a little more satisfaction out of killing one. You don't kill that many, but when you do finally have things come together, you feel like you've done something by killing a coyote in these mountains. The wind is not your friend in these mountains, so you got to have a wind checker. The other thing that you got to know is, where are these coyotes during the daylight hours? How am I going to find that information out? Well, I do it by going out at night, an hour before dark, into about an hour or two after dark. Once you get into 2-3 hours after dark, and you get those coyotes to answer you at 10, 11 o'clock at night, or at 1 or 2 in the morning, that information, it's good to know there's coyotes in the area, but you're not able to discern where that coyote has just spent the daytime. But when you're calling at those coyotes on the edges of dark and dusk, or at dawn, if at dawn they're telling you where they're headed for the day, at dusk they're telling you where they've just been for the entire day. So that's good information to know. And it's also, when you're out locating, you want to try to get those coyotes to answer you on a couple different days or a couple different weekends. Just because I had some coyotes answer me on this mountain doesn't mean I'm going to go hunt them the very next weekend. I might go out there, though, on the end of one of my hunts at the end of the day and go swing back by that group of coyotes that I had, answer me one night last week. But instead of calling from that same spot and getting that same information, I might call from a mile up the road, looking down on that ridge where I heard them at from a different position. And I'll sit there and howl, and they'll answer me again 2 weeks in a row, or 3 weeks, or a week in between there. I have now just triangulated their position, so I have a better idea in using my hunting app. I'll plot where I think they actually are yarding up for the day, and then use that information to plan my hunt. Now, while I'm out there doing that, I use base map, and you can put preload a stand location on there and say, well, I need this wind in order to hunt that. And a lot of times what I'll do is when I know I've got a yard located where coyotes are holding up for a day, I'll go in there on other hunts and puff the wind in the morning. What does the wind do in this area at dawn? What does it do at dusk? What is the wind area doing? I might be up there on a ride on my motorcycle, middle of the day, and I'll keep my wind puffer with me. And I wonder what at noon, on an east wind, what is the wind doing in that area, in that hollow? And I'll puff the wind. As I drive by, I'll stop, puff the wind. And I try to get a picture in my mind of what wind direction I need in order to go in on those coyotes and get within 300 or 400 yards of them, and make some prey sounds and try to call them in and kill them. That level of detail really is the only way to consistently kill these things in the mountains. You can get lucky now and then and go in and just troll for coyotes. And I used to do a lot of trolling for coyotes. And what do I mean by trolling for coyotes? I mean, I'd get up on a big, long-running ridge. I'd have a buddy park a car at the other end, or I'd just be prepared to do a 12-mile loop. This is when I was much younger, and I don't do this anymore. But, I'd just go out, and every mile and a half, I'd do another set. And I'd walk another mile and a half, do another set. Walk a mile and a half, do another set. That's trolling for coyotes. Well, that's a whole lot of work. It's a good way to learn what kind of bird species you got in the area, because you're going to call in owls, you're going to call in hawks, you're going to call in an eagle now and then, you're going to call in some sparrowhawks and all kinds of stuff. You might even call in some fox, a bobcat, and occasionally a coyote. But it's hard to kill them that way because you don't know where they're at. And so just trolling for coyotes, you're just taking luck. You're thinking, hoping to get lucky. You need to know where these things are at during the daytime so that you can then manage your approach to how you're going to get in there using a wind checker your whole way in. And when you leave the truck and you're a mile away, puff the wind. If the wind's going straight from you to the coyotes, get back in your truck and go somewhere else to come in on them. Come in from a different direction. I'm telling you, if a coyote smells a human within a mile, they can smell you. They don't know what your intentions are, but they can smell you. But as you walk in there, you think, well, I'm a mile away from these coyotes, and yeah, the wind's going right to them, but they don't know what my intentions are. Okay, well, you walk in a half a mile. Now you're a half a mile from them. Your scent is still going towards them, and it's getting stronger. So they now know that there's a human working their way towards them. Your mind, you're thinking, well, when I get that last quarter mile, I'm going to come in and make a big circle and come in downwind up. No, that ain't going to work. Been there and done that. So you need to know with absolute certainty where they are holed up for the day. And then you need to try to get as close as you possibly can to them in a vehicle so that you don't have to cover a mile, because it's going to take you an hour to cover that mile. And during that hour, I promise you, the wind is going to pick your scent up and take it to them at some point. You want to get within 300 to 400 yards of these coyotes in a vehicle, get out, puff the wind, and it should take you no longer than 20 or 30 minutes to get to those coyotes. And because that's the length of most wind windows in the mountains is 20, 30 minutes. That sun's coming around, creating thermals. The wind's going to switch and start coming out of this direction. So you have to be able to get to those coyotes inside of an hour. I'm not saying you can't do it in an hour, because I've done that. But, you've got those last say 500 yards, you got to have absolute certainty that the wind is not going to go in the direction of those coyotes, and that you're going to be close enough to use realistic sounds that they will hear, and you're close enough to them that they're going to be able to triangulate your position, make your sounds, shut the call off, let them come in. Now, as your set goes on, I actually get quieter. I might start quiet, give it a little bit, then about that 3 to 4 minute range, I'll get loud to where I know the coyotes that are 300 to 400 or 500 yards away have heard me. Then I'll go back the other direction and get very, very quiet. When I mean quiet, I can barely hear it. I can barely hear the call running. It's just running enough in case there's one lagging that he can hear it. And I'll turn it on for 10 seconds, shut it off. I don't ever let the call just run. Every time I've ever done that, I've had coyotes come in and bust me. They come in 75, 100 yards away, and then all of a sudden, they're over there just warning barking, because you gave them the opportunity to know as they came in where you're at exactly, and they will circle you every time. So, get close to them, make quiet calls, shut the call off, maybe get just a little bit louder, shut the call off, and wait. You get 10 minutes into your set, you might turn a squeaker on for a little bit, and then shut it off. 10 seconds, shut it off. wait another 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You need to stay on stand 35 to 40 minutes for coyotes in the mountains. They just sometimes take a little longer to come in. Most of the time, they're on you within 5 minutes. I mean, they're there. You know, you're 400 or 500 yards away. You've gotten in there with good wind. Boom, they're on you. But occasionally, as long as you're sitting there, and I keep this thing handy while I'm sitting there. I keep it in my lap, or I keep it in my shirt pocket, or I keep it somewhere in my hand. And, you know, as the set's going on, I'm puffing the wind. So as soon as I know I'm busted, I shut the call off. I might wait 10 minutes just in case that momentary thing didn't bust me, but I will not continue to call if that wind has shifted and gone towards those coyotes. Shut the call off, wait 10, 15 minutes. If the wind still has you busted, quietly pack your crap and get out. You have to be sneaky on these mountain coyotes or you won't get them killed. You'll just educate them. So hopefully that helps you. And we'll talk at you a little bit more later on.